Welcome back to the gun dungeon, guys. From the title you can tell today we're going to be talking about revolvers and single action for defensive purposes. Now when I say single action, I don't necessarily mean this, like the old cowboy single action only revolvers. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about, but we'll talk about that a little bit anyways, just to start the video off. Is this a good defensive gun? It sure is, if that's all you got, that's for sure. But there are other roles where I will use a single action, and it's not always necessarily for strictly defensive purposes, but farm carry, something like that, running trap lines, hunting, especially hunting revolvers. Typically I like a single action only, like a Blackhawk, Super Blackhawk, something like that. But carrying around on the farm or something, I like how these carry. More of like a drop leg type holster, like the old cowboy type holsters. They get down out of the way and they carry pretty good. So sometimes I'll carry something like this, just beating around the house here, doing something, just messing around. I'll carry something like that, and it's mainly for critter control, because if you're going to be taking a shot at, say, a groundhog or something like that's getting in your garden, you want more of a precise shot, and that's where single action comes into play. But in a defensive purpose or a defensive scenario, is that always a good thing to have that super crisp, really light trigger? Is that always a good thing? Or is it sometimes maybe even a bad thing? And that's more about what I want to talk about here. And it's using a revolver like this, for instance, that you would carry for mainly defensive purposes, that has a hammer that you would cock for a defensive shot. And what brought this video on in my mind was my wife was having a discussion in a female concealed carry group. It was like Facebook or something like that, I don't remember. But one of the ladies on there kept pushing revolvers for new shooters, and one of her main reasons is you can cock the hammer and have a good easy shot. And it's true, but I don't know very many defensive trainers or anybody that does defensive type stuff that's going to recommend you using single action in a defensive scenario, which is why most of my defensive type carry guns don't even have the option. And there's a couple reasons for this. One, if someone is so far away that you have to take a precise shot in a defensive scenario, is that justified? Is that going to be a justified shooting where, if they're so far away that just that isn't going to cut it? I think you're starting to push the boundaries there on that. And two, what happens, you got to think high stress scenario here. So you're potentially about to take someone's life. This isn't just, shooting paper on the range. This is very, very high stress scenario. Do you want that hammer cocked where you might accidentally fire when you don't want to? I mean, I know we carry 1911s and Browning high powers, stuff like that, even the CZ75, that has the option to shoot single action, but they also have either a safety or a decocker. So if I was to cock this, now I'm stressed to the max. Say I didn't shoot. Say I cocked it, the threat went away, whatever. Now I am shaking, adrenaline's pumping, and I have this. The only way to get this back down is to pull this trigger and release that sear and that hammer going forward. That's all you got. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that, here's another point that we're going to talk about. A hungry defense or prosecuting attorney, I should say, a prosecuting attorney, not defense, a blood hungry prosecuting attorney may try to make the point of, you intended to kill this person and you took your time and deliberately thought about it because you had the time to cock the hammer. If it was truly life-threatening, would you have the time to cock the hammer? There's just so many things that I don't think comes with the trade-off for single action to be used for a defensive revolver. Now, I'm not saying not to use a revolver with a hammer that can be cocked. I'm not saying that at all. Because like I said earlier, if I was carrying this around on the farm and a groundhog popped out, I would want to be able to do that. But something like this, I'm not taking a shot at a groundhog with a J-frame. I'm just not going to do it. I'm probably not going to hit it unless it's chewing on my shoe. That's about the only way that I'm going to hit it. But, you know, I'm not saying don't carry a gun with a hammer. I'm just saying if you're carrying a gun solely for defensive purposes like this, is having that hammer that can potentially get snagged on something, can potentially get used and then used against you in court, or be cocked in a high stress scenario, is having that hammer even worth it on something like this? I mean, really, what are you going to be doing with a hammer shooting this single action in any kind of useful scenario? And this is all opinion, guys, don't get all riled up on me here. I'm not a professional trainer or nothing like that. I'm not an attorney. I just don't see the merits of telling someone that they should be using a revolver because you can cock the hammer and take a precise shot for a carry gun for defensive purposes. To me, that's not a merit point at all. And this is not that hard to do. Now, for a new shooter, I probably don't recommend a revolver at all. For a new, maybe a weak hand, like I said, this was a female group that this discussion came about. I'm not going to recommend a revolver at all, honestly. You all may, but you know, I'm not going to. I want to recommend something that's a little easier to shoot, doesn't have that super long trigger pull, and has a little bit more than 5 rounds. For a new shooter, I think that's a good thing. But you know, I like revolvers. I love revolvers. I think they're classic. I love shooting them. I love how they feel. I like everything revolvers. We just got to know what the role and purpose for these revolvers are. And I have a video coming out on that, actually, and it's going to be a fun one because I drag out all kinds of revolvers. But yeah, that's where I kind of am on that. And you know, I just want to run something real quick just because I like shooting, so we're going to shoot some. And let's just look at the difference in shooting a full cylinder with this, cocking the hammer and shooting it, or just pulling the trigger. Let's just see what the difference is. You all be sure to go check out Target Sports USA. They're a big sponsor of the channel now. And if you use my link below, you're going to get a free gift at checkout with your purchase. Their Ammo Plus membership is a great value. If you shoot very much at all through the year, it's going to pay for itself in no time and then some. Be sure to check out Target Sports USA. Y'all be sure to go check out Vetter Holsters, big sponsor of the channel. Have about any kind of holster you can think of. There's one of the cool designs that they have. You saw the blood red holster for my XDM 10mm. They make a holster for just about any gun out there. A lot of the 10mm stuff. I use their light tuck. That's about all I use anymore for inside the waistband stuff. Great products, great company. Check out Vetter Holsters. Now this one is a 7-shot, so we get an extra round with this one. Let's just go. I'm just going to pick one of the larger steel targets and just put all 7 on the one target. Single action, quickly as I can. Remember, this is a defensive scenario. We're not just target shooting. We're not just having fun on the range. This is defensive use. So that's what we're going to replicate. And I even missed the first shot, but you know, not exactly quick between shots, not exactly slow either, but let's try it without the cock and the hammer. 7 shots, loaded back up. I think I missed that last shot, but as you can see, those were a little bit quicker. Now, I know all my cowboys are in the comments right now about to lose their mind because they can shoot these suckers faster than greased lightning. I understand that. And there are some guys out there that can fan these triggers, that can operate them super fast. I'm gonna give it a whirl. I'm not gonna fan it, but I'm gonna give it a whirl, shoot this one as fast as I can on target, just because it's fun. But you know, there are definitely techniques that I'm probably not using, that somebody that trains single action with this type of gun is going to be a lot faster and a lot more accurate than me. But I'm just an average guy, and this is kind of what we're talking about, as average people here, right? So let's just go. I missed two. I did try the, cocking with the offhand, or yeah, I did try that. It was a little bit quicker, seems like, but it's just fun, guys. It's just fun. But at this point in the video, it's kind of what I'm doing, because I feel like I've probably already made a bunch of people mad. That is so fun. Well, since the entire argument is that using single action in this type of revolver is more accurate, that was double action. Both of them hit. Let's cock the hammer. I can hit it both ways. It's not that the gun's more accurate, it just makes it a little easier to shoot. You can train right through that. So kind of in conclusion here, if you're going to recommend a revolver to a new shooter, I don't think it's wise to recommend it based on the fact that you're going to cock the hammer in a defensive scenario. And let's be real here, if you have the option to cock the hammer and you're out training and you're trying to make good shots, because everybody wants to do their best, if you have the option to cock the hammer, a lot of new shooters, I watch it myself, will start cocking the hammer so that they can make better hits and feel better about themselves, and they won't train like this. And that just seems to be the case a lot of times. If you have the option to make it easier, you will, and you won't train that way. And then in the defensive scenario, all you've ever done is cock the hammer, and you may not be able to shoot double action worth a hoot. So to me, keep it simple. Don't be talking about cocking hammers, using single action in a defensive scenario, unless you're John Wayne or somebody like that, or some of my cowboys in the comments. I know some of you guys carry these type of revolvers, and my hat's off to you. It's not a cowboy hat, but this hat's off to you. But anyways, that's what I got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Until next time, guys, stay tuned.